Jasmine's hands trembled as she clutched her phone, staring at the unknown number that had been calling for the past hour. The airport terminal buzzed around her, thousands of travelers rushing past, but she stood frozen near gate 47. Her heart hammered against her ribs when she finally answered. "Ms. Carter," the cold voice said, "you have 24 hours to pay what your brother owes, or we're coming for you." The line went dead. Jasmine's vision blurred with tears as panic seized her chest. $12,000. Money she didn't have, money she'd never have. Her cleaning job at the luxury hotel barely covered rent and food. Marcus had promised he'd handle his gambling debts. He'd lied. She stumbled backward, desperate to get away from the crowd, from the suffocating fear, and collided hard into something solid. Strong arms caught her before she fell, steadying her against a broad chest that smelled of expensive cologne and danger. "I'm so sorry, The words died in her throat when she looked up. The man holding her was devastating, sharp Italian features, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her soul, a tailored black suit that probably cost more than her annual salary. His jaw was carved from stone, a thin scar running along his left cheekbone. Power radiated from him like heat from flames. But it was his expression that made her breath catch, intense, possessive, as if she'd just walked into a trap she didn't know existed. His hands remained on her waist, fingers pressing slightly through the thin fabric of her cleaning uniform. She realized with horror that she was still gripping his jacket, her face buried against his chest in what could only be described as an embrace. "Now you're mine," he said quietly, his voice rough velvet wrapped around steel. If you want to discover how this chance encounter transformed Jasmine's entire world, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Each view helps bring more stories like this one to life. Now, let's go back to where it all began. 3 hours earlier, Jasmine had scrubbed her last toilet at the Fontainebleau Miami Beach, her back aching from the double shift. At 26, she already felt ancient, worn down by 2 jobs and the constant weight of survival. Her reflection in the hotel's gilded mirrors always shocked her. How could someone so tired still look so young? Her natural curls were pulled back in a tight bun, her brown skin glowing with perspiration, her uniform hanging loose on her slender frame. "Jazz, you heading out?" Maria, her supervisor, called from the supply closet. "Yeah, gotta catch my flight." Jasmine managed a smile. "Thanks again for covering my shifts this weekend. Girl, you never take time off. You deserve this." Maria squeezed her shoulder. "Your aunt's gonna be so happy to see you." The trip to Atlanta wasn't pleasure. Aunt Teresa had been diagnosed with diabetes and needed help organizing her medications. But it was the closest thing to a vacation Jasmine had taken in 3 years. She'd saved for 6 months to afford the ticket. The Uber to Miami International took 40 minutes through evening traffic. Jasmine spent the ride calculating her remaining funds, $247 in checking, $193 in savings untouched for emergencies. She was making it work. Barely. Always barely. Her phone buzzed. "Marcus. Sis, can you call me? Important." She ignored it. Her younger brother's important messages always meant money. After their parents died in a car accident 5 years ago, Marcus had spiraled into gambling, debt, and excuses. Jasmine had bailed him out twice before. Never again. The airport terminal gleamed with wealth she'd never touch. Designer stores, expensive restaurants, travelers in casual clothes that cost more than her monthly rent. Jasmine kept her eyes down, invisible among the crowds, the way she'd learned to be invisible cleaning hotel rooms while guests pretended she didn't exist. She'd just cleared security when her phone exploded with calls, unknown numbers, then a text. Answer or regret it. Fear turned her blood to ice. She answered the next call, and that's when her world tilted. $12,000 in gambling debts. Her name on Marcus's emergency contact, 24 hours to pay. "I didn't guarantee anything," she'd whispered into the phone. "He used your address, your information, you're responsible." That's when she'd stumbled backward, desperate for air, for escape, and crashed into him. Marco Romano hadn't expected to feel anything when the woman collided with him. He'd stopped feeling much of anything years ago. Emotions were liabilities in his world, weaknesses that got men killed. As the head of the Romano family, Miami's most powerful crime organization, he'd built his empire on cold calculation and swift justice. But when she looked up at him with those wide, terrified brown eyes, something shifted in his chest. something primal and immediate. She was beautiful, not the polished, artificial beauty of the women who usually threw themselves at him, but something raw and real. Natural curls escaped from her bun, framing a face that showed exhaustion and fear and a stubborn strength that intrigued him. Her cleaning uniform told him everything about her station in life. The worn sneakers, the cheap phone clutched in trembling hands, the way she immediately tried to pull away and apologize. She expected to be dismissed, ignored, made invisible. Marco's fingers tightened on her waist. "You're shaking." "I'm fine, I need to go." She tried to step back, but he didn't release her. "Who called you?" Her eyes widened further. "What? No one, Don't lie to me, Piccola." The endearment slipped out unbidden. "I saw your face when you answered. Who threatened you?" "It's none of your business." She finally wrenched free, stumbling back a step. Her hands came up defensively. "I'm sorry I ran into you. Excuse me." She turned to flee, and Marco made a decision that would change both their lives. "Stop." The command in his voice froze her mid-step. She looked back, confusion and fear warring in her expression. "Your flight to Atlanta leaves in 45 minutes, gate 32B. Marco had noticed her boarding pass clutched with her phone. "You have time. Come with me." "I don't even know you." "Marco Romano." He watched for recognition, saw none. She didn't know who he was, refreshing and dangerous in equal measure. "And you are?" "Leaving." But she didn't move. "Someone threatened you. You're terrified. Running won't help." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I can help." "Why would you help me?" That was the question, wasn't it? Marco didn't help random women in airports. He didn't involve himself in civilian problems. He certainly didn't feel this magnetic pull towards strangers who collided with him. "Because you're mine now," he repeated, and meant it in ways he didn't yet understand. Jasmine should have run. Every survival instinct screamed at her to get on that plane and disappear. But something in his voice, in those dark eyes that held more shadows than she could count, made her hesitate. He looked dangerous, the kind of dangerous that came with power and violence, but he also looked solid, immovable, like he could stand between her and the entire world if he chose to. "I need to catch my flight," she whispered, but it sounded weak even to her. "Change it. I'll pay the difference." Marco pulled out his phone, fingers flying across the screen. "Tell me what you need." "I don't need anything from you." $12,000 suggests otherwise. Her breath caught. How had he? "You heard the call?" "I hear everything that matters." His attention never left her face. "Come with me. We'll handle this together. Then you can go to Atlanta or wherever you want. But right now you need protection, and I'm offering it." "I don't understand why." Marco smiled, and it transformed his face from coldly handsome to absolutely devastating. "Neither do I. But I always trust my instincts, and my instincts say you walked into my life for a reason." Against every bit of common sense, Jasmine found herself nodding. Marco's SUV was exactly what Jasmine expected. Black, bulletproof, probably illegal in 12 different ways. What she didn't expect was the gentle way he helped her into the back seat, his hand steady at her elbow, or the concern in his voice when he told his driver, "Carefully, Luca." The partition rose, giving them privacy. Jasmine pressed herself against the far door, suddenly aware of how small the space felt with him occupying it. "Tell me everything," Marco said. "Why? What are you, some kind of—" She stopped, really looking at him for the first time. The expensive suit, the barely concealed weapon at his hip, the way his driver responded to commands with military precision. "Oh God, you're a criminal. I prefer businessmen. I can't. I need to get out." She reached for the door handle. Marco caught her wrist, his grip firm but not painful. "Jasmine, that is your name, yes? I saw your boarding pass." She nodded mutely. "Those men who called you? They're connected to the Volkov organization. Russian loan sharks who prey on desperate people and torture those who can't pay." His thumb brushed across her racing pulse. "If you run now, they'll find you in Atlanta. They'll hurt you, and then they'll hurt your aunt." Terror seized her throat. "How do you know about—" "I know everything about my city. Every debt, every deal, every threat." His eyes softened slightly. "I can make this disappear. One phone call, and you'll never hear from them again." "And what do you want in return?" Jasmine had learned young that nothing was free. Everything had a price. "Your trust." She laughed bitterly. "That's it? My trust?" "For now." Marco released her wrist but didn't move away. I don't make deals I can't keep, Piccola. I'm offering you protection because something in me says you deserve it, because you've been fighting alone for too long. Because when you looked at me with those frightened eyes, I wanted to destroy everyone who put that fear there. You don't even know me. I know you work 2 jobs. I know you've been saving for something important, probably school, based on the nursing textbook in your bag. I know you're strong enough to survive in a city that eats people alive, but tired enough that you're barely holding on. He leaned closer. And I know that when you crashed into me, for 1 second, you felt safe. Am I wrong? Jasmine hated that he was right. In his arms, for that brief moment, the fear had quieted. She'd felt protected in a way she hadn't since her parents died. What happens after you make this phone call? She asked quietly. You go to Atlanta. Visit your aunt. Come back when you're ready. We'll talk more then. And if I never come back? Something flickered in his eyes. Disappointment, perhaps, or challenge. Then I'll come find you, because you're mine now, Jasmine. I don't let go of what's mine. The possessive words should have terrified her. Instead, they sent an unfamiliar warmth through her chest. Marco made 3 calls, each one colder and more commanding than the last. Jasmine couldn't hear the other side of the conversations, but she watched his face shift from businessman to something darker, more dangerous. It's handled, he said finally. The debt's erased. If anyone from the Volkov organization contacts you again, you call me immediately. He pulled out his phone, typed quickly, and hers buzzed with a new contact, Marco Romano. Just like that? Just like that. Why? The question burst out of her. Seriously, why would you do this for a stranger? Marco was quiet for a long moment, studying her face as if memorizing every detail. When he spoke, his voice was rougher than before. My mother was a cleaning woman. Worked herself to death in other people's houses while my father drank away what little money she made. She was strong like you, proud, determined to survive, but she had no one to protect her when she needed it most. Jasmine's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be smart. He reached out, tucking a loose curl behind her ear in a gesture so gentle it made her breath catch. Accept help when it's offered. Let someone stand between you and the wolves for once. I don't know how to do that. Then let me teach you. The SUV pulled up to the airport departures. Marco walked her back inside, his hand resting at the small of her back, protective, possessive, undeniably there. Other travelers gave them a wide berth, sensing something in his presence that screamed danger. At the airline counter, he arranged for her flight change without blinking at the $400 fee. He added a first-class upgrade, hotel voucher, and rental car in Atlanta. This is too much, Jasmine protested. It's nothing. And to him, she realized, it truly was nothing. The money she scraped and saved for, the dollars that meant survival or disaster, to him it was pocket change. The contrast should have pushed them further apart. Instead, it made her understand the vast distance between their worlds and wonder why he was trying to bridge it. At security, Marco stopped. I can't go further. Jasmine nodded, suddenly unsure what to say. Thank you seemed inadequate. Goodbye felt wrong. When you come back, he said quietly, stepping close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. We're having dinner, a real one. Somewhere you can tell me about nursing school and why you work yourself to exhaustion for dreams you're afraid to chase. I never said you didn't have to. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing across her skin in a caress that made her shiver. Travel safe, Piccola. Text me when you land. She stumbled over the words, confused by the intimacy developing between them. Marco smiled, that devastating expression that transformed him from dangerous to irresistible. We are now. You ran into me, remember? Claimed me right there in the terminal, no takebacks. Despite everything, the fear, the confusion, the absolute insanity of the situation, Jasmine laughed. It felt rusty, unused, like a muscle she'd forgotten she had. You're crazy. Probably. He leaned down, his lips brushing her forehead, in a kiss that felt like a promise. But I'm your kind of crazy now, go. I'll be here when you get back. Jasmine walked through security in a daze, looking back once to find him still standing there, watching her with an intensity that made her heart race. She should be running. She should be terrified. Instead, for the first time in 5 years, she felt protected. Atlanta was supposed to be about Aunt Teresa, organizing medications, scheduling doctor's appointments, sorting through medical bills. But Jasmine found her mind drifting constantly to Miami, to dark eyes and protective hands, and a man who'd made her brother's debts disappear with 3 phone calls. "You've checked that phone 20 times in the last hour," Teresa observed from her recliner, her knowing smile making Jasmine's cheeks warm. "Must be someone special." "It's nothing, Auntie." Nothing doesn't make a woman look like she's waiting for the sky to open up. Teresa reached over, patting her hand. "Tell me about him." Where would she even start? "I crashed into a Mafia boss at the airport, and he decided I belonged to him." That sounded insane, even in her own head. But she found herself talking anyway, leaving out the criminal parts, focusing on the protection, the way he'd looked at her like she mattered. Teresa listened with the patient wisdom of someone who'd lived through her own complicated love story. "Sounds like a man who knows what he wants," Teresa said finally. "Question is, baby girl, what do you want?" Jasmine didn't have an answer. She'd spent so long focused on survival, working, paying bills, taking care of everyone else, that wanting something for herself felt foreign and dangerous. Her phone buzzed. Marco's name lit up the screen, and her heart jumped stupidly. "How's your aunt?" "Better. Thank you for asking." "Good. When do you come home?" "Home." He'd called Miami home, as if she belonged there with him already. "Sunday evening. Flight lands at 9:47 p.m. I'll pick you up." "You don't have to do that." "I know. I want to. Text me your baggage claim." Jasmine stared at the exchange, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. This was happening too fast. She didn't know him. Didn't know anything about his life except that he was dangerous and powerful, and looked at her like she was precious. "What are you afraid of?" Teresa asked gently. "That he'll hurt me. That I'll trust him, and he'll turn out to be like Marcus. All promises and no follow-through." Jasmine's voice cracked. "That I'm not strong enough to survive someone like him." "Baby, you survived losing your parents. You survived raising your brother alone. You survived 5 years of working yourself to the bone with no help and no hope." Teresa squeezed her hand. "If anyone's strong enough to handle a complicated man, it's you. The question isn't whether you can survive him. It's whether you want to let yourself feel something again." The words hit deeper than Jasmine expected. When had she stopped letting herself feel? Somewhere between the funeral and the first eviction notice, between Marcus's gambling debts and double shifts, she'd locked her heart away for safekeeping. Marco had picked the lock in one airport encounter. That night, lying in Teresa's guest room, Jasmine's phone rang. Marco's name flashed, and she answered without thinking. "Can't sleep." His voice was rough, intimate in the darkness. "How did you know?" "I can't either. Keeps happening since you left." Her pulse quickened. "Marco, tell me something real, Jasmine. Something you don't tell anyone else." The request was so unexpected, so vulnerable coming from him, that she answered honestly. "I'm scared all the time. Scared of being poor forever. Scared of ending up alone. Scared that I'm wasting my life working jobs that don't matter when I should be doing something important." "You matter," he said fiercely. "Your life matters. The fact that you keep fighting when everything's stacked against you, that's not wasting anything, that's surviving. And survival is the most important thing there is." Tears pricked her eyes. "You don't know me well enough to say that." "I know enough. I know you smell like lavender soap because you can't afford expensive perfume. I know your hands are rough from cleaning chemicals, but you hide them in your pockets so no one notices. I know you straighten your spine when you're scared, pretending to be brave even when you're terrified." He paused. "I know you looked at me like I could save you, and it made me want to save the entire fucking world, just to keep that look in your eyes." "This is insane," she whispered. "We met 3 days ago. Some things don't need time. They just are. That's not how real life works. Maybe not your real life, but in mine, when I see something I want, I take it. When I find something worth protecting, I protect it. And you, Jasmine Carter, are worth protecting. Why me?" The question she'd been holding back finally broke free. "You could have anyone. Women who understand your world, who fit into it. Why choose someone like me?" Marco was quiet so long she thought he might not answer. When he did, his voice held a rawness she hadn't heard before. "Because everyone in my world wants something from me. Power, money, protection, status. They look at me and see what I can give them." He exhaled slowly. "But you looked at me and just saw me. You were terrified, vulnerable, desperate, and you still tried to apologize for running into me. You still tried to handle your problems alone. You didn't ask for anything until I insisted on giving it." I don't know how to be what you need. I don't need you to be anything except yourself. The woman who works 2 jobs and studies nursing in her spare time. The woman who sends money to her aunt even though she barely has enough for rent. The woman who's strong enough to survive but soft enough to still feel. His voice dropped lower. Come home, Piccola. Let me show you what your life could be if someone had your back for once. Jasmine closed her eyes, feeling the pull of him across 800 miles. I don't want to be someone's possession. You're not. You're someone's choice. My choice. Every single day, I'll choose you. And when you're ready, you'll choose me back. What if I'm never ready? Then I'll wait. I'm a patient man when it matters. She heard the smile in his voice. But you will be ready, Jasmine. Because you felt it too. That moment in the airport when everything aligned. You know this is real. She did know. God help her, she did. Tell me something real now, she whispered. Something you don't tell anyone else. Marco's laugh was dark, surprised. Fair's fair. All right. I'm afraid of losing control. My entire life is about control, my family, my business, my emotions. I control everything because losing control in my world means death. He paused. But with you, I felt my control slip the second you looked at me, and instead of terrifying me, it felt like freedom. Jasmine's heart clenched. That's beautiful and terrifying at the same time. That's us. Beautiful and terrifying. Now get some sleep, Piccola. I'll see you Sunday. Good night, Marco. Sogni d'oro, my Jasmine. Sweet dreams. She fell asleep with her phone still clutched in her hand, dreaming of dark eyes and protective arms. Sunday evening arrived with Miami's signature humidity and Jasmine's signature anxiety. She'd changed outfits 3 times in Teresa's bathroom before her aunt physically removed the clothes from her hands. Baby girl, he's already seen you in your work uniform. Whatever you wear now is an upgrade. Teresa smiled knowingly. Besides, men like that don't care about clothes, they care about what's underneath. Auntie, Jasmine's face flamed. I mean your heart, child. Get your mind out of the gutter. But Teresa's eyes sparkled with mischief. The flight felt eternal. Jasmine couldn't focus on her book, couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything but watch the clock crawl toward landing. Her phone buzzed as they began descent. Baggage claim 3. I'll be the one who can't stop looking at you. Simple words that made her stomach flip. She'd dressed carefully in the end. Nothing fancy, just jeans that fit well, and a soft blue top that Teresa had insisted brought out her eyes. Her natural curls were free today, framing her face in a way that felt both vulnerable and confident. She spotted him immediately. Marco stood apart from the crowd in baggage claim, commanding space without trying. The same black suit, or one identical to it. But his expression when he saw her, pure unguarded want, made her steps falter. He crossed the distance between them in 3 strides, and then she was in his arms, lifted clear off the floor in an embrace that felt like coming home. I missed you, he murmured against her hair. 3 days, and I missed you. That's crazy. I know. He set her down but didn't release her, his hands framing her face. How was your flight? Long. I kept thinking. She stopped, unsure how much to reveal. Thinking what? That maybe I imagined how I felt, that it was just adrenaline and fear and gratitude mixed up together. Marco's thumb traced her cheekbone. And now that you see me again? Now I know I didn't imagine anything. Jasmine's hands rested on his chest, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady beneath her palms. It's still there. Stronger, maybe. Good. He kissed her forehead, lingering. Let's get your bag. I'm taking you to dinner. Marco, I need to go home. I have work tomorrow. I called your supervisor. You have the week off. Jasmine pulled back. You did what? Paid vacation. It's handled. You can't just... I didn't ask you to... Anger and confusion tangled in her chest. I need that job. You still have it. I'm not taking anything away from you, Piccola. I'm giving you time. Time to rest, to figure this out between us, to exist without exhaustion for 5 minutes. His expression softened. When's the last time you had a week off? Never, she admitted quietly. Then let me give you this. Please. The please undid her. This powerful man, asking permission, showing her respect even as he rearranged her life. 1 week, she agreed. But I'm going back after that. 1 week, he echoed. But something in his eyes said he had other plans. Dinner was at a restaurant Jasmine had only seen from the outside, the kind of place with no prices on the menu, and a dress code she definitely didn't meet. But Marco led her through the entrance with his hand at her back, and suddenly her jeans felt appropriate, her curls perfect, because he looked at her like she belonged everywhere he was. "Mr. Romano, your private room is ready," the host murmured, leading them through the main dining area. Private room? Of course. Jasmine tried not to gawk at the opulence. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, artwork that probably cost more than her yearly salary. The room was intimate, romantic, a single table set for two, candles flickering, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Miami's glittering skyline. "This is too much," Jasmine said automatically. "For me, this is a Tuesday." Marco pulled out her chair. "For you, this is overdue. Sit, eat. Tell me about your aunt." She did, gradually relaxing as he listened with genuine interest. He asked thoughtful questions, remembered details from their phone calls, made her laugh with dry observations about family dynamics. The food was incredible, courses she couldn't pronounce, flavors she'd never experienced. Marco watched her taste everything with an expression of pure satisfaction. "You're staring," she said finally. "I like watching you enjoy things. You don't let yourself enjoy enough." "Enjoyment costs money." "Not anymore." The words hung between them, heavy with implication. "Marco," Jasmine set down her fork. "What is this? What are we doing?" "Having dinner." "You know what I mean. We barely know each other." "Then let's fix that." He leaned back, completely at ease. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. Start with why you do what you do." Marco's expression shifted, shadows crossing his face. "I inherited my father's empire when I was 22. He was killed by rivals who thought I'd be too young, too weak to hold power. His fingers drummed the table once. I proved them wrong." "How?" "Violently, efficiently, permanently." He met her eyes. "Does that scare you?" It should have. Jasmine knew it should have. But she thought about him making her debt disappear, about the gentleness in his hands, despite the violence in his words. "You scare me," she admitted, "but not because of what you do, because of how you make me feel." "And how do I make you feel?" "Safe, protected, like maybe I don't have to do everything alone anymore." She took a shaky breath. "And that terrifies me, Marco, because what happens when you get bored? When you realize I'm just a poor girl who cleans hotel rooms and doesn't fit in your world? What happens when you leave?" Marco stood abruptly, moving around the table to kneel beside her chair. His hands captured hers, bringing them to his lips. "I'm not leaving. I'm not getting bored. And you are not just anything, Jasmine." He kissed her knuckles, his eyes never leaving hers. "You are extraordinary. You are strong and beautiful and real in ways I've never experienced. And I know you don't understand this yet, but I'm yours as much as you're mine. I don't belong to anyone. You're right. You belong to yourself first. But you chose to come back to Miami. You chose to answer my calls. You chose to have dinner with me tonight." His grip tightened slightly. "So choose me now. Not forever, not with promises you're not ready to make. Just for tonight. Choose to trust me for one night." Jasmine looked at their joined hands, his scarred and strong, hers work-worn and trembling. Everything logical said to run, but her heart, that treacherous organ she'd locked away for so long, was already choosing. "One night," she whispered. Marco's smile was pure triumph and tenderness. "One night. That's all I need to show you why forever makes sense." He stood, pulling her up with him, and kissed her. Not the gentle forehead kiss from the airport, but a real kiss, claiming and giving simultaneously, tasting like wine and promise and dangerous possibilities. When they broke apart, Jasmine's world had tilted again, but this time she wasn't scared of falling. She was ready to fly. The week that followed changed everything. Marco kept his word. He didn't push, didn't demand, didn't try to control her life beyond giving her the space to exist without constant survival mode. But he was there. Every morning, flowers arrived at her apartment. Simple arrangements, never ostentatious, always accompanied by notes that made her smile. "Thinking of you. M. Had breakfast yet? There's a car downstairs. M. Missing your laugh today. Call me when you can. M's." He took her to places she'd never imagined. Private beaches where they talked for hours, art galleries where he explained pieces with surprising knowledge, quiet cafes where they shared stories from their vastly different childhoods. Jasmine learned that Marco loved classical music and terrible action movies in equal measure, that he spoke 4 languages but swore exclusively in Italian when frustrated, that he'd built schools in 3 underserved Miami neighborhoods because kids deserve better than I had. He learned that she'd wanted to be a nurse since she was 12, after watching her mother care for a sick neighbor with nothing but kindness and improvised medical knowledge, that she sang off-key in the shower and cried at every sappy commercial, that she was brilliant with numbers but terrible at directions. They fit in ways that shouldn't have made sense. On the 4th day, Marco took her to his home, a stunning waterfront mansion that made her previous ideas of wealth seem quaint. "This is where you live." She stared at the marble columns, the manicured gardens, the ocean views. "This is where I exist," he corrected. "I haven't lived anywhere in years, but I'd like to. With you." "Marco, not yet. I know." He guided her inside, through rooms decorated with impeccable taste, but zero warmth. "I'm not asking you to move in tomorrow. I'm asking you to see what your life could be, what our life could be." He showed her the library, walls of books he'd actually read, the music room with a piano he played when he couldn't sleep, the kitchen where he admitted he cooked terribly but made excellent coffee. And then, hesitating for the first time, he showed her his bedroom. I don't expect—" Marco ran a hand through his hair, suddenly less commanding. "I just wanted you to see all of me, the private parts, the vulnerable parts." The room was simpler than she'd expected. Elegant but not ostentatious. A massive bed, yes, but also photographs she peered at curiously. A younger Marco with a beautiful woman who had to be his mother, both of them laughing. "She would have liked you," he said quietly. "She would have loved how you don't take my shit." Jasmine laughed despite the emotional moment. "I take some of your shit. Only the important shit." He pulled her close, resting his chin on top of her head. "Stay tonight, not just to sleep. I want to wake up knowing you're safe here." "That's dangerous." "Probably." His arms tightened. "But I'm asking anyway." She stayed. They lay in his massive bed, fully clothed, talking until 3 a.m. about everything and nothing. Jasmine fell asleep wrapped in his arms, feeling safer than she had in years. She woke to chaos. Shouting downstairs. Marco gone from the bed. Her phone showing 17 missed calls from a number she didn't recognize. She'd barely sat up when the bedroom door burst open. A man she didn't know filled the doorway. Expensive suit, cold eyes, gun visible at his hip. "You need to come with me," he said. "Now." Terror locked Jasmine's throat. "Where's Marco?" "Dealing with the situation. I'm here to protect you." "From what?" "From the people who just threatened to kill you if he doesn't surrender his territory." The words hit like physical blows. "What?" "You're leverage now, congratulations." The man's expression was hard. "Volkov's people found out about you. Word travels fast in our world. They took your picture at the restaurant last week, tracked you here. Now they're threatening war unless Marco gives you up." "Then he should give me up." Jasmine scrambled off the bed. "I'm not worth people dying." "Too late. He's already made his choice." The man's radio crackled. "We need to move, now." The next hours were a blur of movement. Secure vehicles, safe houses, armed men surrounding her constantly. No one would tell her where Marco was or what was happening. Just that she needed to stay put, stay quiet, stay alive. Night fell before Marco finally appeared. He looked like death warmed over. Suit rumpled, face drawn, eyes blazing with barely contained violence. But when he saw her, something cracked in his expression. Jasmine. Her name was a prayer and a curse. She threw herself at him and he caught her, holding on like she might disappear. "You're okay," he murmured into her hair. "Thank God you're okay." "What happened?" "They said, someone threatened—" The words tumbled out incoherently. Marco pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "The Volkov family tried to use you against me. It was a miscalculation." "What did you do?" "What I had to." His jaw tightened. "They'll never threaten you again. They'll never threaten anyone in Miami again." The implication was clear, final, violent. "Marco, if people died because of me, people died because they threatened what's mine." He cupped her face. "This isn't your fault, Piccola. This is my world, the world I'm asking you to accept if you choose me." And there it was, the real question underneath everything. "I can protect you," Marco continued. "I can give you everything you've ever wanted. Security, safety, the chance to go to nursing school without working yourself to death. A life where you never have to be afraid again." He paused, thumb tracing her cheekbone. "But I can't promise normal. I can't promise safe in the traditional sense. My world is dangerous. and being with me puts a target on your back. Some target, Jasmine said shakily. You just eliminated it in less than 12 hours. This time. But there will be others. There always are. His eyes searched hers desperately. So I'm asking you to choose, Jasmine. Choose this life with me, knowing what it means, or choose safety without me, and I'll make sure you have everything you need to build the life you deserve. Either way, I'll protect you. But only one way do I get to keep you. Jasmine's heart hammered. A week ago, she'd been cleaning hotel rooms, drowning in other people's debts, too exhausted to dream. Now she stood in a safe house, protected by armed guards, looking at a man who'd literally gone to war for her. It was insane, impossible, completely illogical. I choose you, she whispered. Marco's eyes closed briefly, relief washing over his features. You're sure? No, I'm terrified. I don't understand your world, and I don't know if I ever will. But I know that when I'm with you, I feel alive for the first time in years. I feel like maybe I'm allowed to want something for myself. She rose on her toes, framing his face with her hands. So yes, I choose you. I choose this crazy, dangerous, impossible thing between us. And if it kills me, at least I'll die knowing I was brave enough to feel something real. Marco kissed her, like a man reprieved from execution, deep, desperate, claiming. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret this choice. Good, because I'm going to spend the rest of mine making sure you deserve it. His laugh was surprised, delighted. Deal, Piccola, deal. Outside, Miami glittered with danger and possibility. Inside, wrapped in each other's arms, Jasmine and Marco built their own world, one where a poor maid and a mafia boss made perfect, impossible sense. 2 years later, Jasmine stood in the graduation hall wearing nursing scrubs under her ceremonial gown, her diploma clutched in hands that no longer trembled with fear, only joy. Marco sat in the front row, impossibly proud, impossibly hers. The journey hadn't been easy. Learning to navigate his world, accepting protection without losing independence, building trust when everything in her past said people left. But Marco had been patient, had proven his devotion in 1,000 small ways, and several terrifyingly large ones. She worked now at a community clinic. Marco had funded it, but she ran it, her dream finally real. They'd established a scholarship program for kids like she'd been, offering nursing school tuition to students who otherwise would never afford it. Her apartment was long gone, replaced by a home they'd chosen together, smaller than his mansion, because she'd insisted on something that felt like theirs, not his. Marco had agreed to everything, learning that loving her meant honoring her strength, not just protecting it. Doctor, Martinez just called you Jasmine Romano, he murmured as they walked to the car, his hand steady at her back as always. We're not married yet. Yet. His smile was pure confidence. But you'll say yes when I ask. Will I? Yes, because you're mine, and I'm yours, and we claimed each other in an airport 2 years ago. He pulled her close. Some things don't need time. They just are. Jasmine laughed, rising to kiss him. Then yes, Marco Romano. When you ask, I'll say yes. Good, because I'm asking now. He was, and she did. This story has reached its end. If it touched your heart in any way, leave a like and share it with someone who also enjoys emotional stories. New stories are coming soon. Until next time.